So the first poem I will be reading is called Some Questions Without Answers. It is only when you sit atop a mountain in the dark that you see what we don't see, that we are but droplets in a river of infinite space. In deserts, lost men scour for water. On oceans, deserted sailors seek sand. But in the skies, we search for home. Why do we, upon seeing the greatness and emptiness and innocence of horizons that stretch on for the dawn of time, why do we then look for the tiny grain among all the scattered grains of sand that is our home, our only earth, to find that the soil and sand lies below and not above? All human success is built upon the idea that we are what spins time and keeps stars in the sky. So should we discredit all the achievements of humankind as based on primitive fact, or should we believe for the sake of believing that the human existence is art? Would we be better off if our thoughts had been frozen before humanism, when divine was a blessing and humans were only servants to those above? Is medieval thought really what should have survived? But isn't divine in the image of earthly, and earth only what we see? So then does all proof of existence come down to our senses? Like Schrodinger's cat, do we only know what is truly here if our eyes can visualize its existence? So are there missing beings caught between our senses and the continuation of time? If what we see is just a figment of our imagination, does that just make us human? Or is feeling humanity? Do we not remember objects, but remember the feeling upon sensing their existence? But if vision and sense is just an illusion, then wouldn't feeling be self-induced? Does all that make us human boil down to an illusion, a non-existent disruption in space and time, one that only life can perceive? But then how do we know there is space? How do we know time is ticking? Or is it all human? Is even the humanness emptiness human? And should that make us feel more? And then my second poem is called With Every Breath, and it's inspired by a poem called Where I'm From by George Eliot. I spring from the snow-filled driveways and iced-over sidewalks outside the old house on Chadbourne near Spooner. I spring from the soft radio playing in the living room on Sunday morning, my father reading on the couch, and the beaten-up fur of my silky stuffed bear. I spring from cramped apartments in the center of European cities, Munich, London, Oslo, and car trips through Tennessee mountains and Missouri prairie. I spring from historical analyses, from the depths of academia overcrowding my father's office. I spring from Yeats, Whitman, Thomas, and Steinbeck stories. My flow is drawn from my mother's warm hug, bickering loudly with my sister, and philosophical conversations with my father in the car after school. I spring from the times that I rose my hand in the lecture halls of the world's great universities and knew the answer. I spring from the near whiteout drives between New Haven and Boston, Harvard and Yale, taking the turnpike in I-91, from Turkish rooms and Anatolian bazaars. I spring from the dusty clothing store in northern Maine, whose proprietors, my great-grandparents, were the children of Jewish immigrants, seeking freedom from the Tsar and his men. From my forefathers, spread across the Indian subcontinent, from Lahore to Bhopal. I spring from the shtetl and the sacred waters of the Ganges. I spring from great-grandma Emily's yogurt cup glasses, which my father recounts with laughter every time we speak about his favorite grandmother. I spring from knowledge and stories stretching over oceans and centuries to the point that I write this reflection. It seems to all lead here, but it could have ended with a billion different paths and a billion different stories, and it ended here, with every breath of mine a remnant of something lost. Thank you.